if assuming I needed another custodian and I used Bitcoin and I wanted to move $100 million of Bitcoin, and this is where, Bitcoin critics are just utterly wrong and missing the point. They all think, oh, well, it takes 30 minutes and $5 to move Bitcoin. And they're comparing it to a new crypto network that has no value on it.
Hi, I'm Crypto Positive. If you like this video, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. It's very important to the channel and gives me motivation to make more videos about crypto for you. And now let's go to the video.
And they're saying, I could find a way to move it in 5 minutes for a nickel. But that's not the point. The appropriate comparison is to gold. How long would it take to move $100 million of gold? And because there's $250 trillion in assets in the alt assets, and there's only $25 billion of real asset in the alt coins or the alt cryptos. So how long does it take me to move the $250 trillion around? And when you think about that, you realize that Bitcoin would move it in 30 minutes instead of 30 days. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's 1,440 times as fast, right? 1,000 times as fast a minute versus 1,440 minutes in a day. And so it's 1,000 times as fast, but then it's $5 versus $250,000.
Right.
I know. So we do that. That's 50,000 times cheaper.
Absolutely.
So now we've got people saying, "Oh, well, it's very energy inefficient." Blah blah blah. Well, it's not really. It's inefficient in the way that it's inefficient to create an electro high speed transit system, a mass transit system. It was expensive to build the mass transit system. It got really, really cheap to move on the rails.
Right.
If you look at the history of railroads, right, the biggest thing in the 19th century was railroads. It was pretty expensive to create the railroads. It became really cheap to move on the rails.
Right.
So what we do is we've created crypto rails in order to make it 50,000 times cheaper to move. But it's not just that it's 50,000 times cheaper. It's that it's 1,000 times faster and 50,000 times cheaper.
Before we get back to the video, I want to tell you that you can get a free $100 bonus from iTrust Capital by clicking the link in the description right now. Now let's get back to the video.
And then when you start to multiply 1,000 times 50,000, and you realize it starts to be 50 million times faster. Right. And then you start to add that third dimension, which is maybe a computer that thinks about this while you're sleeping 18,000 times. And you realize eventually you get to 50 billion times faster. And now we've got to a new engineering or our new scientific metaphor, which is superconducting networks. Right. Okay, if there's impedance going through electric power network and you're losing it. And so the solution is I need to get to superconductance. I got to cool the network down to close to near zero.
Right.
And it's expensive. And the point is, yeah, it's expensive to get to near zero. And then the impedance disappears in the network and the friction goes away. And what could you do if the friction went completely away?
Right. You're in outer space, right? The smallest amount of energy can move something billions of miles. And I love that analogy too, that you're getting to a lower energy state and that eliminates the frictions to conductance. So you achieve superconductivity. And in a way, that's what Bitcoin is, right? It's a monetary medium completely free of the noise of unexpected inflation. So you're actually conveying pure price signal. Something even gold, we didn't quite have that.
And I love your analogy because, I mean, the aerospace engineer in me is loving it a lot. You could think about when you encrypt monetary energy on the Bitcoin network, it's like achieving escape velocity out of the gravity well. What we've done, we paid a price to get out of the gravity well. Throw a baseball on a baseball field that goes a couple of 100 feet. Get out of the gravity well, throw the baseball, it'll go around the earth forever.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Okay, so how much more distance do you get out of the baseball if you pay the price of getting out of the gravity well?
Right.
It's not like 10 times better. It's not 100 times better. It's not 1,000,000 times better. It goes to infinity and it never stops. And that's the breakthrough that people don't get. It's like, what could I do if I had vacuum and I was rid of friction? And yeah, there's a price to pay. And that's your phase change and your state change. And that's why I would say Bitcoin is the most efficient system for channeling energy through time and space in the history of mankind. We've never figured out how to channel energy with no impedance and channel energy with no loss. But let's come back to the outer space analogy. Take your flashlight and shine it in your basement. Take your flashlight, shine it, on your baseball field. Now get into outer space and take your flashlight and shine it. Or flip it the other way, the Hubble telescope, right? How much better are the photos you get from the Hubble telescope than the photos you get from a telescope that has to shoot through the atmosphere?
Right.
It's
free of distortion.
It's 1 billion times better.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't really imagine the world when you're trapped in energy well.
This analogy too holds for the counterparty, the institutional counterparty risk. It's almost as once you escape the gravity well, you're also free of institutional counterparty risk, right? I don't need to worry about the stability of the United States or JP Morgan to transmit Bitcoin 100 years into the future. You only need to be concerned about the stability of the energy.
Пустой зал, ожидание вокзала. Стою и смотрю куда-то в сторону перрона.